I look absolutely nuts to the neighbors. Absolutely nuts.
It's probably one of the first things that come to mind when you think of fitness. It's part of that fitness starter kit you got for New Year's, and for some reason, we all have one in the garage hanging somewhere collecting dust. The skipping rope. 30 days ago, I started a jump rope challenge where I was jumping 1,000 times over a skip rope for 30 days.
Today's day one of our skip rope challenge. I also chose like the most humid and hot day. As you can tell, maybe the light on my face. It's gonna be a rough one out there, but it's okay. It's day one. 1,000 jump rope skip things. 30 days
in a row. And there were days where I hated it. There were days where I loved it. And there were days where, well, I was questioning why I was doing it in the first place. So here are the lessons I've learned from jumping over a rope for 30 days and how you can apply them to your goals or even your life for what's to come. Lesson number 1, get specific. Being specific is easily one of the best things you can do for your goals. Because a lot of us will say, I want to be healthy. But what does healthy really mean to you? If you just drank more water today, would you already be healthier than yesterday? Probably, but that probably wouldn't fulfill what you mean by healthy. When I first started this 30-day challenge, I simply said, I want to jump over a rope 1,000 times for 30 days. It could be done at any time during the day, over any rope, and without any time limit on how fast or slow I could do them. The goal was never to be better by the end of the 30 days, just to complete and document the journey. Getting as specific as possible can be one of the best ways to not only ensure that your journey is smoother, but also making sure that any hiccups along the way can be dealt with because you've already set out the guidelines right at the beginning. Lesson number 2, prep and recovery. So this is one thing that I completely forgot about when I started these 30 days, and it's the fact that I don't skip very much. I jumped into a 1,000 jump rope 30-day challenge without taking into consideration my knees, my ankles, my hips, my lower back, everything all in between.
We are currently sitting at 500. I've whipped myself multiple times now, and my ankle is starting to act a little funny. I think it's because I'm jumping every day. Probably not a good thing. So we're gonna have to roll that out a little bit. But this is much harder. Like this is much harder.
Forearms are on fire. My wrist kind of not hurts, but there's a little thing there, and I think obviously just holding the weight of rope. I'm gonna have to figure out a strategy for this ankle, but also just maybe volume-wise, just kind of maybe modify this a little bit. But we're not stopping, that's for sure. We're just gonna have to modify and maybe tweak a couple things so I don't kill myself. So aside from getting as specific as possible, do make sure to plan some recovery time. I think a lot of times we jump in, we don't take into account prep time. We don't take into account recovery time. And really giving your body the respect and the time it needs in order to recover so you can continue doing whatever challenge that you're providing for yourself. If you're someone who is deciding to just jump into a brand new exercise routine, do make sure to plan some recovery time and to give yourself the time to, well, rest and actually not go super hard every single day. I know it's super tempting, but the problem is if you get injured, you're setting yourself far back, and I mean even way further back than when you would have started, because that injury could set you back a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month, and then you're even at a lower point than when you started. Lesson number 3, what's the BAM? Otherwise known as the bare ass minimum. Okay, so let's say something goes wrong. Let's say you have an incident like my knee, ankle, hip incident. What do? What's the bare ass minimum you set for yourself? And what are the guidelines you can fall back onto in case something does happen? At one point during the 30 days, I decided to switch to a heavier rope because the regular one seemed too easy, and truthfully, I ended up paying for it.
We're at 500, guys, and there's a wasp around here. Oh man, we're at 500, and I decided to move up to half pound. Been feeling pretty easy recently. I've just been fighting myself on going heavier because I know how much it's gonna hurt. Way heavier. Oh man, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but the wind from it sounds heavier too. It just feels, it is not cool. Oh my god, forearms already on fire. There's only 100.
If it wasn't for my jump over any rope guideline, I probably wouldn't have discarded my pride, and I wouldn't have had the wherewithal to really jump into a lighter rope or to allow myself maybe an easier jump and maybe allowing myself more time in order to jump. I think a lot of us will stick to one thing because we want to be able to do the hardest thing first. We want to be able to stick to this, and almost as if it's a give, well, pretty much all or nothing mentality. And the problem that obviously comes along with this is that we actually set ourselves back. I know a lot of us will want to do things right away. A lot of us will want to jump into things
right away and give 100%. But that 100% may be the thing that leads you to doing 0% later on. So do be sure, and I mean do be sure to set out your bare ass minimums, because they help you so much, especially when things get tough. I can see the end in sight, so it's not killing me as much. However, I am paying the price in certain things, whether it be like tight calves, back is a little bit work, shoulders a little funky too. So yeah, just things to keep in note. Lesson number 4, tell someone. Keep yourself accountable. I know a lot of us will try to show up after 30 days and really be able to brag about, hey, I did this myself, but telling someone else will keep you much more accountable than just doing it by yourself. If it wasn't for me telling Kat or Ron, I'm pretty sure there would have been days I could have just let it slip, like this one. And although sometimes they weren't always around, I still ended up doing the challenge anyways, because I knew they would ask me about it the next day. It may seem a little daunting at first to tell someone about your 30-day goal or your aspirations, and well, rightfully so. This is your first time on this journey, and there's always a possibility of failure. But the more people you tell, the more you have people on your team, that community aspect that you have, the easier it's going to become. And hopefully the lessons in these videos can give you the tools you need in order to conquer whatever goals come your way next. Thank you so much for watching, and if you guys have any challenges, aspirations, goals that you have that you're working towards, drop them in the comments below. Let's build some accountability and let's help each other out. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.
I have just finished a run uphill. It's actually more than usual today. As I'm talking, Ron's actually sitting on the driveway, contemplating his life decisions. Maybe meditating, I'm not too sure. Maybe take a look. I think he's meditating, or he's just having a nervous twitch, or not.